Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Be bold, be remarkable, be a legendary success. Join host Dave Van Hoos, international speaker, trainer, and CEO of Speaking Empire, and Kristen White, award-winning TV journalist and creator of Instant Celebrity Academy, as they give you insider secrets and the latest strategies of the top-performing, world-renowned, transformational authors, speakers, coaches, and professionals on the planet today. Listen, learn, and become the best. The world wants to share the stories of your legendary success, starting now.
Well, welcome everybody. I am so excited and honored to be with you here and now, and I just want to share with you, I'm just really excited today. I've got a special guest. His name is Daven Michaels, a very successful entrepreneur business person. In fact, very, very, very successful. And today we're going to break down what it takes to be legendary and how we can really automate your business. Now, my name is Dave Van Hoos, the CEO of Speaking Empire. I've been involved with teaching some of the biggest speakers and authors and internet marketers in the world, showing them how to present from the platform and grow an education business. And I've got a lot of experience over 10 years of being a business owner, making the Inc. 500 in 2007 with over 135 employees, and my company's valued over $40 million at one time. So today, we want to really break down, bringing on special guests to really dive down what is really working now. I don't want to go over theory. I want to know truly from each person that comes on the show what's working in their business and what's not working, so that way we can learn and we can model. And what I mean by model is we can learn from other successful people and model the systems that work. And I hope that you'll be able to enjoy our experience, have a lot of fun, and learn a lot of great information. So I'm going to bring Daven on here in a moment. I'll tell you how I met Daven. I met Daven about 2.5 years ago. We were doing a seminar. It was an event where we were teaching speakers and authors of how to grow an education business. I had a beautiful time to meet Daven. He had a great concept, and what his concept was is he saw so many business owners and entrepreneurs trying to do everything in their business, and he found a way to automate himself and his business by using virtual assistants. And so the beautiful thing that I love that Daven does is when he builds a business, builds it on automation so he is not a slave to his business. And what I mean by that is he owns the business and the business doesn't own him. And I know a lot of us that have businesses, in fact, the business owns us. And what I mean by that is people are stuck at their offices, they can't take any time off, and they're on the phone, and they're stressed out, overworked, frustrated in their business. So I want to talk to Daven today about automating. And Daven, are you with me?
With you, Dave. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, man. Well,
how are you,
great.
bud?
I'm excited to have you, and we're going to have lots of fun. And I know you've got so much business experience. So real quickly, Daven, tell us a little about your experience and how many years have you been a business owner?
Oh, sure, Dave. Well, thanks for having me on the show, and what a great forum. There's a lot of shows that talk about, what people are up to and so on and so forth, or even talk about speaking, but I love the idea of, what does and doesn't work, because everybody wants to know, what's working for you right now, what's not working, because let's face it, things change all the time, and there's always somebody that sort of walks before you, and if you can find out who that person is and sort of, do a brain dump from them and learn what's working, what's not working, can really change things for you, as it changed things for me, obviously. And we'll talk more about that, I presume, in the show. But anyways, my background, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Matter of fact, I was talking to somebody just yesterday saying that I've been, self-employed for 30 years. Most of those years have been very successful. I've been very blessed. But I was telling a friend yesterday that if I wasn't doing that, I'd probably be flipping burgers. I'm a college dropout. My last job was washing dishes at a Shakey's and making pizzas. But since then, I've built many multi-million-dollar companies, sold to public companies. Just had some amazing success from the clothing business. I designed clothing for some of the biggest bands of the 80s and 90s. I was the biggest electronic music event producer in the nation. I was a best-selling music producer, television producer for nearly 15 years, short career as a recording artist. And then I got into the outsourcing business, sort of fell into it, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that as we go. But now I'm CEO and founder of 123Employee, the premier outsourcing center in the Philippines. We have about 400 employees. We work with entrepreneurs all over the world, and we help them with their busy stuff. And we call that BS, by the way, Dave, busy stuff. We help them with their internet marketing, their social media, their telemarketing, their back office tasks, so that ultimately they can focus on the income-generating activities in their business and the things that excite them. So like you said, we set them free from the shackles that bind in their business, and it's really wonderful. And as a result, they've grown. Entrepreneurs have had success all over the world, so we've grown. Today, almost 400 employees. We're in the process of going public. We estimate within about a year we'll be at 1,000 employees, and it's just awesome. And finally, the last thing I have to say is that just a few short years ago, I became a speaker, and I attribute most of my speaking success to the training that you and your partner Dustin gave me. And it wasn't really until I started speaking, when I got away from my desk and got out into the world and started sharing our message with the world, that I really found true fulfillment in my life. And now I wake up every morning, pinch myself, because I love everything I do, and it's just a blast. And the cool thing is I get paid for it too, so it couldn't be better.
Oh man, I'm excited to really dive down. And we're live at the Be Legendary show with Daven Michaels. This is Dave Van Hoots. And so Daven, let me ask, so I listened to you. You haven't had a job in over 30 years. In fact, the last time you said that you had a job, you were flipping burgers. So, man, that is amazing. So we've got a lot of business owners, speakers, and people from all over the world. How does somebody make that transition, from having a job and starting a business? Is there any, strategies that you can share with us?
Well, when I started my first business, it was a long time ago, and things have changed considerably, and I think it is so much easier to start a business than it was back then. But for me, the way I was able to go into business is I went to school. The School of Hard Knocks, and I worked my butt off. And today, if somebody has a business idea, you could put up a website, and you could probably find somebody in India to do it for you for next to nothing, and you can throw some traffic at it, and you can see if it converts and see if you make some money, and then grow it from there. But back in my day, everything was brick and mortar, and my first business was a retail clothing store. I took everything I could beg, borrow, or steal, and then on top of that, my dad had about $10,000 set aside for me for college. I took that too. That was a tough one. And then finally, I was 17 years old, and so the landlord wouldn't even allow me to sign the lease. So my dad co-signed for me. So I kind of took him down the rabbit hole with me. It was really a risky ride, but my dad had so much faith in me. He was such a great guy, and we gave it a shot. And luckily, I pulled it off. But it was a lot of luck and a little bit of skill, because I had no clue what I was doing back then, and it was tough. But I think that the basic, I think the difference between people that make it happen and don't is mindset. And for me, my belief was so strong. My belief was that there was no way I could fail at this venture. And you know what? If there's no way you can fail, and you're committed to the outcome, that I don't see how ultimately you can't have success if you just keep going and going and going. And that's exactly what I did, you know. I worked as long as it took. I worked all night long. I mean, whatever it took. Success, like failure, was just not an option. I couldn't, and honestly, my back was to the wall. I couldn't afford it. Had I lost everything, it would have taken me over a decade to pay it back. My youth would have been gone. You know, I thought. So really, I mean, I just and I think over the years, I don't think the methodology has changed that much. Of course, the risk level has changed considerably. You know, I don't take those kind of crazy risks anymore. But you know, it's just if I guess today I take a better approach. I do the research and we test and so on and so forth, because now I'm a marketer and I know how to do all that. So we test things, and then once we get them to go, we just move quickly. And I think that, you know, people that are successful, I think they make fast decisions. I think they assess the situation. They don't sit there and vacillate. They just go for it, and that's what I've done all my life.
So quick starting. And that's one of the things that I'm too, is a quick starter. I have an idea.
Yeah.
But I really want to talk a little bit about, you talked about belief, in that you said that you had such a strong belief in yourself that no matter what happened, you were going to get success. And I think you're right. I think that's very important. If you don't believe in yourself and don't believe in your product, you're probably not going to have success. So I love that analogy. So
well, and also, Dave, just to go like a little deeper into that, I mean, here's the thing. Were there roadblocks when I started my company? You bet there were. Were there things that went wrong? You bet there were, consistently. And if your belief is strong enough, though, you're just not going to give up. You're just going to keep, you know, throwing something else up at it till you get it figured out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing. No matter in life, as soon as you have a goal, there's obstacles that are coming, and that's just the way it is. And you just got to know that you're just going to have to tough it through the goals, and that's what life's about, the journey and the learning experience. So I really want to dive down to some of the learning experience. So let me ask this question. What are maybe the 2 or 3 biggest mistakes that you made in any of your businesses that we could learn from?
Let's see. Well, one thing that I've done all my life, it's a disease. I still have it, but I'm getting through it finally. Is a disease called do-it-myself-itis, and I feel that most successful entrepreneurs have this. And the reason why is, if you're a successful entrepreneur, you're probably a doer. You're probably not a procrastinator. So as you know, as an entrepreneur, all day long things come across your desk that need attention, and the knee-jerk reaction is to take care of it. You know, you might say, well, that'll just take me a few minutes. I'll just do it. Oh, that'll just take me a few minutes. Or, oh, you know what, I could do it better, and I don't have to show somebody how to do it, so I'll just do it. And what happens is you just need about 3 or 4 of those each day, and your day's gone, isn't it? And we all know, or I hope we know, that what drives our business forward are the income-generating activities, the IGAs in your business. And, you know, I'm sure you'd agree that there's about 1,000 tasks a day that you can do every day in your business, but only a small handful that create immediate, tangible results and move your business forward, move you on to becoming a big company. And those are IGAs, income-generating activities. And the problem is we get so caught up in the minutia these days, because now there's so much that an entrepreneur can do. Because of technology, you could do everything. I mean, you're like a one-man band. You can play the drums, you could play the accordion, you could play the piano. I mean, you could do everything. But, of course, that's a recipe for disaster, because what you'll end up doing is you'll end up doing everything, and you'll never move forward in your business, and that's do-it-myself-itis. And so what we are really committed to...
I love that, do-it-yourself-itis.
Do-it-myself-itis, yes, exactly.
I think there's a lot of business owners that I know have that do-it-yourself-itis. They want to do everything, and in fact, the most successful business people in the world have everybody do everything for them, and that's a very live, important principle. So besides trying to do everything yourself, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you made?
Sure. Well, one thing I've done is, throughout my entire life, I've been pretty much self-funded. I think there's only one vendor. We started a record label many years ago, and we did go for outside funding for that. Besides that, I've been completely self-funded, and I think it's a good idea to use other people's money, you know, to be quite frank with you.
I agree with you.
Right. And one thing we're doing right now, you know, we're in the process of taking the company public, and I'm allowed to talk about it for a while until we actually go into the phase of the paperwork. And, you know, for that we need several several $1,000,000. So I'm actually out there, doing the dog and pony show, and it's a whole new world for me. So that's something is I funded it all myself. Another thing I did early on, which I don't do anymore, that's for sure. But I used to take some pretty crazy risks when I was young. I'd take like almost all the money I'd have and bet it on a venture, and a couple of times that went wrong. That backfired on me, and that was devastating. So I guess one of the things is don't throw all your eggs in one basket. But at the same time, one thing I'm guilty of, which I know most entrepreneurs are as well, is doing 10 businesses at once. As a matter of fact, Dave, you and I speak all over the globe, and people come up afterwards inevitably, and they always want to share their story with you. And Dave, have you ever met a single person that's only doing one thing?
No. And usually people are trying to do too much, and one business is enough. I think that when you do too many, you can't have success at the beginning level.
Yeah. At the beginning level, exactly. There comes a point when you have enough help when, you can do a few things. Like we've got a few things going on, but, we've got hundreds of employees. And by the way, that probably brings me to a third thing that I did all my life, which was huge, that really set me back. And that is, you definitely need help in your business. Okay, that's a given. And you want to offload all of your busy tasks to somebody else. But the next phase is once you do that, then you need to start making a lot more money, and then eventually you need to hire or bring on another one of you. And that can be either a specialist, a C-level employee, or a partner. And it wasn't until I brought another one of me, my first C-level, just a few short years ago, which was Bijal Palmer, that our business absolutely exploded. As a matter of fact, when we look at our business, we've had many successful businesses over the years. 123 was successful pretty early on. When Tim Ferriss's book came out, The 4-Hour Workweek, that was sort of the tipping point for us, and it really helped us. But really, the next phase for us was two things. One is when we brought on the first C-level, which was Bijal, it was like having another one of me. It amplified me. And I'll tell you a funny thing is when you bring on another one of you, it doesn't increase your business 100%. It increases your business like 500% because, it's like an exponential growth. It's like an earthquake. It's exponential. And on top of that, the second thing that really grew our business is when we started to market to many as opposed to marketing to one. So when I started to get out there and share this message with the masses, and both via webinar and live, it changed everything for our business. So those are really the steps. What you really want to do is, start growing your business, get some help, start marketing to many as opposed to marketing to one, and then get another one of you. Because when you get another one of you, and it's not easy, you either have to give away some of your business or you got to pay a heck of a lot of money, but it's worth it. The payoff is huge.
Yeah, so let's dive down to that. In the beautiful thing about what you've been able to create in your life, which I love, is multiple successful businesses in completely different industries, from the entertainment industry, from the clothing industry, from outsourcing industry. So you have found some kind of systems to create success, and you probably have lots of partners. Now, I love partnerships, and I know a lot of people hate partnerships. I love them, and without my partner, I would not be successful. And so, to me, they've worked out very well. So what are some of the learning lessons that you've gone through in partnerships that we can go through?
Sure, absolutely. Well, when I was very, very young, in my very first business, my accountant one day, she looked me straight in the eyes and she said, "Daven, just so you know, partnerships are sinking ships." Okay, I'll never forget
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, that's what she told me. And honestly, in my life, in the early phases, the first couple of decades in business, she was absolutely right. My very first business, our clothing business, my partner and I, we had a falling out, and it was over. Although that wasn't really a bad thing. I mean, I ended up with more of the business, as I'm sure you can relate to in one of your former partnerships. And then, so that was okay. And then, oh my gosh, I had a horrible partnership. The guy screwed me so bad about 10, 15 years later. That was just a nightmare. And so what I really did is, I realized that partnering I believe is an integral part of business, as I know you do. But I also knew that there had to be a better way to partnering. And so I really sat down, just like I did sit down, I did create a formulaic approach to business, like you said. I sat down and sort of created what I felt was sort of the dossier, if you will, for, creating successful partnerships. And I was able to, put together what I felt was sort of a list of attributes that made sort of a good partnership, and I have applied those. And what I do is, you and I, we've done tons and tons of joint ventures, and we've made a lot of money from joint ventures. And today I structured my partnerships kind of like joint ventures. I give people ownership, but I generally retain control. And you know what? Honestly, it's sort of up to the other partner whether they want to take that bet or not. But everyone who has sort of come on board with that type of structure, we've had success. We really haven't had any issues. And well, you might be sitting there thinking, well, yeah, that's because they're doing it your way, Daven. But to be honest with you, I have a very relaxed management style. And as long as people are delivering, as long as people are, coming through with what they commit to, I'm very forgiving, very lenient, and I have a very, very, very laid-back management style. I like to let people do their own thing. It's funny. A couple of weeks ago, I was hanging out with my great friend in Colombia, and he is in business in the U.S., and he is a huge micromanager. You know who he is. And
yeah.
And I watched him. He's working from home, so I watched him run his business all day long. And I was like, oh, my gosh, man. First of all, it's brutal for his partners and employees. I mean, gosh, it must be tough for them. And at the same time, it's got to be hard for him. Holding that tight a leash is just tough. And then on top of that, when you're running that kind of a business, it's really hard to get away from the everyday, because you're so locked into managing people that you can't really think big picture because you're just too locked into managing people. So, like I said, I have a very relaxed management style. I put together what works for me, and then those are the only partnerships I do. So I think a good idea to somebody that's considering partnerships is really sit down and think, what works for me? What can I live with? And what am I willing to give up? What am I willing to, or I guess we won't say give up, what am I willing to compromise on? And I sit there and write it down, and then I structure those future partnerships within that framework.
One of the things that I want to dive down, and if anybody's just come on, this is the Dave Van Hoos at the Be Legendary live radio show, and I've got Daven Michaels from 123Employee on with us. And so, Daven, so growing a business, most people get into a business to have freedom. And I remember when I first started my business, it's because I had to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. They had me working. I felt like I didn't have any time. And back then I loved to play sports and go to the gym. And for me, all I wanted to do was play sports and have freedom. And so I started my business to have freedom. But in fact, instead of working 40 hours a week, I was probably working 60, or I don't even know how many hours, but I was working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, it felt like. So you have been able to work like the 4-hour work week. And so tell us a little bit how people can basically design a business around their lifestyle.
Sure. And Dave, just so you know, and I just want to be, honest and in full disclosure, there is a perception of me that I do live the 4-hour work week, and the reality is I actually don't. Okay, I could. Matter of fact, I've done it before for I think a couple of years after I sold one of my businesses, and sure, I could totally do it. But for me, I'm really, really driven. I want to take this message out to a lot of people. We're also in the process of launching my personal development platform, or inspirational really. In 2013, we're releasing the Beyond event, which revolves around one of my book series called Lessons from Beyond. And so, for me, it's like I've helped people, but now I want to inspire them. And so I've always had this feeling that the clock is ticking, that I'm not going to be on this planet that long, and that I have so much that I want to achieve and create, and I just want to have an impact on people before I'm gone. And so that really drives me, and that's something that I find in a lot of entrepreneurs. They have this angst, or this, they're never totally satisfied. And I know you kind of have that too, Dave. And so, but you know what? And that may not be the best trait, but it serves me, and it moves me forward, and I thrive on achieving. That's just me. That's just the way I'm built, and I have to manage it, because if left to my own devices, I'll just I'll just achieve my life away. So luckily, my girlfriend and the kids, they kind of keep me in check. So there is this perception that I'm the 4-hour work week guy, but I'm really not. By choice, by design. But the difference is, and the huge shift that's taken place for me in my life, is that over the last several years, I've gone from working on everything in my business to only working on what I'm passionate about. And that is a huge shift, because when you wake up every morning and you only work on what you're passionate about, you're excited to get up in the morning. I mean, it's just awesome. And the day goes by quick, and you wish there was more of it. And that's exactly what I do. So what I'm passionate about is speaking and traveling and being spokesperson for the company and creating new products and services that service human beings, and just making a difference in the world and spending time with my family. And for me, one of my passions is traveling. So if you're on my email list, if you get emails from me, you'll notice that I'm always somewhere in the world. I love it. I love travel, and I get to do it. I get to run my business from all over the world. I mean, last week I was river rafting in Colombia, and I think yesterday, a couple of days ago, I was in San Francisco meeting with venture capital firms. So it's like every day it's just something new, and that's kind of it. I'm kind of a stimulation junkie. I need new locations and new things to do, and I love to jump out of airplanes and cool stuff. I mean, I'm not crazy, but I like to have a fun, exciting life, and for me, that's what juices me, and that's the life that I'm living. And I know that appeals to a lot of you out there, because there's so many people that either are clients of 123Employee or follow 123Employee. And by the way, Dave, we're talking about creating like a fulfilling life. I figure I'd just throw in a quick shameless plug here. We've created an event to really empower entrepreneurs. It's an event that's not a huge part of our income channel, but we do it because we're absolutely passionate about it. And we do an event called Outsource Live. We do it both in the U.S. and we do it in Europe. And Dave, you are one of our trusted advisors. You're actually going to be speaking at Outsource Live this coming weekend in Los Angeles. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to throw out some free tickets to your listeners. So if you're listening and you'd like to come as my guest to Outsource Live, then Dave, is it okay if I give out the website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break, and then you can kind of tell everybody how you can give a couple free tickets away. We can have people call in to come. I'm going to be there. It's a beautiful training event to really teach you how to outsource your business, really how to think, work smarter, not harder, to really build the freedom in your life. And I love to come. Daven is brilliant and has been masterful at creating multiple businesses in different industries and designing them around his lifestyle. So why don't we take a quick little break here. We're going to be back on the Be Legendary show with Daven Michaels. And Daven, you can kind of come back and talk to us a little bit about how we can get some folks to this event to help them.
Sounds good.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Dave Van Hoos on the Be Legendary Live show with Daven Michaels from 123Employee. And Daven was talking to us about his amazing training event coming up, and really how to really you own your business and your business doesn't own you, freeing up your time, talking to us about really how he's been able to become very successful. So, Daven, tell us a little bit how some of our listeners might be able to attend this live experience.
Sure, absolutely. Well, one thing that I've kind of learned over the years, Dave, is that if you give something away, people don't find a lot of value in it, okay? And tickets for Outsource Live are almost $2,000 a piece. It's expensive, and the reason why it's expensive is because it's not a pitch fest or a sell-a-thon. It's like, it's a content event, and it's very, expensive for us to throw the event. It's a really, really fun, awesome event that, people don't normally experience. And what we do at Outsource Live is we show you how to market in your business. We show you how to handle the processes in your business. Then we put together a whole marketing plan and a outsourcing plan, delegation plan, so that then you can have somebody else do all the busy work for you, so you can focus on the income-generating activities in your business. And then in addition to that, we do a lot of fun things. We have entertainment. I bring in a few outside speakers to share some of the latest and greatest, like what you'll be sharing. And then on top of that, we even work on articles and video, and I have video editors working through the night. And when you leave on Sunday, you have finished video video content that's really cool that you can actually use on your websites and use for promotion and stuff. So it's a really, really neat, cutting-edge, cool, and different event. And so what I'd like to do is I would like to give away some free tickets, but what I want to say is that we have a very limited number of tickets available for Outsource Live. We always sell out. So if don't register if you're not going to be coming. So first of all, the event's in Los Angeles, and it's this weekend. So if you can't make it to LA this weekend, there's really no point. But if you can, we would love to see you at Outsource Live. And to register, simply go to outsourcelivenow.com. That's outsourcelivenow.com. That'll take you to the opt-in page so you can get some more info, and then that'll then take you to the reg page. And when you're registering, if you use the promo code DAVE, D-A-V-E, you will get a free ticket to Outsource Live, and we'll send you an email with a link to get a couple more tickets for your friends, and that's for you for free. Now, if you're out of the country and you can't be with us at Outsource Live, but you still want to get some more information on outsourcing and delegation for your business, you can simply go to 123Employee.com. And I'm going to give you a special code today for all your listeners, Dave. If they go to 123Employee.com/S, for special, then I've got a special deal for you. If you go to the site and you go to get some information, we're going to give you a whole bunch of free goodies. I'm going to give you my 5-part list building video series. I'm going to give you our 123 Employee VA service guide. I'm also going to give you the Outsourcing Blueprint, which is a computer app that we created where you plug in what you're making annually and how many hours you work. It'll show you what your time is valued at and what tasks you can easily outsource to others. Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that. Now, what is that called again? The formula? How many hours you work compared to how much you make? What formula is that?
Yeah, basically it's called the Outsourcing Blueprint, and you plug in what you're making and how many hours you're working. It'll show you what your time value is and then what tasks you're wasting time on and how you can easily outsource them to someone else.
Absolutely. It's kind of been philosophy, if you continue minimum wage activities in life, you can't be a multimillionaire, right? And that's a beautiful thing. It helps you figure out what are minimum wage activities that you can outsource and get other people. And I think it's a beautiful event. I highly recommend everybody to sign up and to deal with Daven. Daven, let me ask you this next question. I want to get into really leveraging yourself. And tell us a little bit about your experience about finding out what you truly are good at and how to outsource, and how do you hire people, and how can you find companies to outsource your business?
Sure. Well, really, when it comes down, here's what you want to focus on. So, the first question is, what are you going to be doing, in your business? So I feel just like you, Dave, you and I are sort of the chief visionary officers in our business. Basically, we're the ideas guys. We come up with the great ideas, as so many entrepreneurs do, but then what happens is entrepreneurs usually don't implement. And the reason why is because they don't have the time and the resources to implement. So what you do is you want to make a list of, first of all, the income-generating activities in your business that only you can do. And by the way, that's very few. I mean, if you really think about it, it's like, could I train someone to do this? Could I train somebody to do that? Yes. And the more that you could train somebody else to do, the better, and get that off of your plate. And then the other thing is you want to end up doing, what's going to drive the business forward that only you could do, and also what you really enjoy doing. And sometimes what you enjoy doing may not be what you're best at, but what I've found is that if you do what you love, you'll keep doing it. You'll get up every day and you'll just do it. A perfect example is Steve Martin, the comedian and actor. Well, if you're listening out there, you probably know, but you may not know that Steve Martin also plays the banjo. Matter of fact, he's amazing at it. And I read an interview with Steve Martin once where he said, I was never that great at playing banjo. He said, funny thing that happens, though, when you play an instrument for 40 years, you wake up one day and you're actually good at it. And it's true. So if there's something that you're really passionate about, don't outsource it. Don't give it to someone else. Do it, because you're going to keep getting up each day and you're going to do it and you're going to get good at it. But everything else can be outsourced or delegated. And really you have, I suppose, a few options. One is you could hire an employee and have them work in your office. And for some people, some people just micromanage so much, or they just, can't fathom the idea of working with somebody that's, a block away as opposed to, or even an ocean away. But if you can do that, then that's really where the juice is, because if you can have a virtual workforce, then you can travel and you're free and you can do whatever you want. And you don't have to spend money on rent or electricity or taxes or any of this stuff. You can save so much money. It's like getting another employee for free in the deal. So at that point, you really have a couple of options. You can find a freelancer, or you can work with a managed facility. A freelancer is somebody that you find on Craigslist or Elance or Odesk, what have you. I think my formula is that if you have somebody that you want to just do a project for you, then Elance, Craigslist, whatever is great. When you get to a point where you want a dedicated rep in your business, whether it's full-time or part-time, but somebody that understands your business, somebody that can help you grow your business, and somebody that's going to be doing consistent work for you, then it's time for a managed facility. And that's when you look at a company like 123Employee. And the reason why you do that is because we get people that have freelancers all the time that come to 123. And what happens is they may have somebody that's great. They spend a lot of time training them. They make them fantastic. And then one day they disappear, or one day they have a family issue or an act of God like a flood, or they lose power, or they lose electricity, or they lose their computer, or the list goes on, especially when you're dealing with somebody in another country. And then they have to start all over again. And that's something that you don't have to deal with at a managed facility. So at a managed facility like 123Employee, you might pay a tad bit more. It's not much. But what happens is you have redundancy, you have accountability, you have a project manager that's assigned to your account. And what happens is, let's say that you have an employee at 123. Well, we have a very low attrition rate, so your employee will probably be with you for a long time. But things do happen, and you could lose your employee. And so what we do is we put training programs in place. We put your actual trainings in place, and we have a mandate that our employees sign a contract. And when they leave, they have to train their successor. And that works about 90% of the time. So it generally works out great. And so what happens is we have a seamless transition to the next person. So our goal is to have you, at the end of the day, we're in a people business. People are fallible. They're not perfect. You can't always, count on a person to be perfect. But what we do put in place is a system, and our goal is you train once, and that's it. Because you really need to be focused on your business, and you do have to train, but you don't want to be training all the time. And another great thing about using managed facilities is that our people are very well trained. All you have to do is really train them on your methodology.
That's beautiful. I've got to really, I want to dive down deep and ask you this. Now, this question's going to be a curveball to you.
Okay.
So, Daven, let me ask you this question, and this is a very, very important question. And who do you think is going to win the election?
I will not answer that on the grounds that it may incriminate me.
Okay. All right. How about, better yet, how about this? Who's going to win? Who do you got winning the Super Bowl this year?
You know what? I don't even follow football that much. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, Dave?
Oh, that's a beautiful. It's not. I'm hoping it's my Lions. I'm from Detroit. Somehow the Detroit Lions just can't figure it out. So I'm praying that they'll do it. It doesn't look too good for us over here. But I think to be honest with you, for football, I don't know. I think the Patriots.
Okay.
Tom Brady. Very successful quarterback, knows how to operate the team. So we'll see if he gets hot this year to win it all. But I've got this next question for you.
Yeah.
And there's so much we can learn from you on the Be Legendary live show. If somebody, let's just say right now, Daven, you're coaching somebody right now, and you said, I've got this idea. I've got this, let's just call it a widget. I've got this idea. I've got this business that I want to create. It solves a problem. And I've got the idea. Give me the 30-day plan, or give me the action plan for this guy to get an idea to start a successful business. So what would you do? You create an idea. Let's just say your idea is you have a product, let's just call it a toothbrush that automatically brushes your teeth. And you have this idea, so tell me, what would you do?
Sure. Well, today it's so much easier. It's not even funny. So the first thing I do, and remember, I'm pretty outsourced and delegated and leveraged. So what I would do first is I would tell Josh on my team what my idea was, and I would ask him to do the keyword research. So first thing we do is we get out there. We want to make sure that there are key phrases that people are that they will search for this product. So we want to make sure that there's search volume. We also want to make sure that there's not so much competition where we just don't stand a chance. So I'd have one of my people do the keyword research, and that's the first step.
And can a VA do that?
A VA could do it. We like to call them specialists. So a VA could do it, but a specialist could do a great job of it. So Josh is on my team, and he's a specialist. So I would have Josh do the keyword research. And then and sometimes it just stops there. It's like, you know what? Nobody's searching for it. And you can't build a market for it without a ton of money. You'd have to really get out there and educate the market, and that would be very expensive. Then you'd have to go the direct marketing route. Now, if I really, really believed it, I was like, oh my gosh, this will change the world, and people will go crazy about it once they know about it. Then I'd pick up the phones and call my buddy Don, who he and his partner have generated $1 billion in sales in direct marketing, and we put it on TV and we test it, and that would be about a $15,000 test. But usually, we start on the web. So if there's no search for it, then we're done. But if there's a search for it and we've got some possibility of ranking, then okay, great. We're going to put up a site. So then I'll have either Marcus or Josh on my team throw up a site. Then I'll have one of our...
Yeah. So something like that. So let's build a website. So first you're going to do the keyword search to see if there's actually attraction in the desire to have your product.
See if there's a market. Yeah.
If there's a marketplace for it first, and see how big that market is. Then from there, then you're going to create a website for people then to buy that product.
Exactly, and for something like this, it sounds to me like it'd probably be some sort of it would be some sort of sales page, but we'd actually have to back it up with data because we'd probably end up throwing traffic at it, and you can't just throw traffic at just a crummy sales page these days. You got to have some back pages and stuff. So what I do is I put Bijal on writing sort of all the back page copy, all the beefed up content, and then I go to Dean on our team and have him write the cash copy for the actual sales page. And so then we'd have all that together. And then I'd also have Bijal write all the emails for the autoresponder series. Then we create some sort of ethical bribe, put the opt-in box in there, and then we've got something. And then the next thing is
so let me break this down for somebody. So you're basically creating an online funnel through that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you created an email campaign, backlogs pages to then see and build this automated system to convert the product.
Yeah, and then also, Dave, you made a point when you said funnel, and I kind of left that out. I mean, I don't necessarily consider just an autoresponder series to be a funnel. I think a lot of people do. So you actually reminded me, and that is, we'd actually have to create a real funnel. So within that, what we would have to do is we'd have to create some upsells and downsells because otherwise there's not going to be enough revenue in the loop to buy and send traffic through it. So so what we do is, so let's say this product's going to be $97. We'd probably want like a $47 downsell and maybe like a $97 or a couple $100 upsell, and then a couple of other offers in the funnel. And the reason why is we need to make more revenue than our competition is because it's the only way we're going to be able to afford to pay for the traffic. Okay,
so that's a very good point. So if you're starting a business, Daven's telling us that the profitability is made on the second sale. So if you're selling a product or service, what other product, it doesn't have to be yours, could you put into that funnel to upsell because now you've got more of a profitability to now outbeat your competition with marketing dollars. So you've got more money to spend on traffic. Can you give us a couple of different strategies of how they would get traffic? Could they use Facebook, Google? Can you give us three of your favorite?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing is, okay, so now we've got this site up. We've got something that's tangible. The next thing we're going to do is we're hoping that we can find a joint venture partner that already has people that have an interest in this. So if indeed we're using the model of, some sort of dental type of toothbrush kind of thing, can we find a promoter that throws like big events for dentists or something like that has a big list? And if so, we're going to go to them, we're going to create a joint venture, master agreement and give them X amount of dollars from the sale, like anywhere from 10% to 50% of the sale or more even. And if we can make that happen, then they will push traffic to us, and we've got different tracking indicators all over the website, and we'll be able to see what people are responding to, where we're losing people in the funnel, what people are buying, and we can test it. And then we go back and we make some more tweaks. Okay. Then if we could find another partner or two or three or four that again has that traffic, we're going to use that too, because better that we test against this traffic as opposed to testing against paid traffic, okay? As long as we're clear with our joint venture partners what we're doing. So once we get that, really fine-tuned, then we can look at buying some traffic. So then I'll pick up the phone, I'll call Jordan. Jordan's my traffic guy. And we'll probably start on Google. We'll do like a blend of like Content Network and PPC, and then we'll see how that goes. And then we'll sit there and tweak and so on and so forth. And then finally we'll probably do some Facebook. And then if we got like a huge win, then we'll do like all the other secondary networks and so on and so forth. But I think the underlying theme here, Dave, is that what you're hearing, if you think about like how I'm putting this together, you notice I'm picking up the phone and calling this person. I'm picking up the phone and calling this person. I'm grabbing this person on my team. These are all people that are far better at this stuff than I am, okay? And I am just the chief visionary officer. Now, you got to be careful here. I find that. Well, it's true, and that is the way. Yeah, exactly, and that. Yeah, totally, and that is the way to do it. But the only thing is you don't want to turn a blind eye to this stuff. Now, I know a lot of people that don't know anything about Infusionsoft, which is the platform we use. They don't know anything about online marketing. They don't know anything about keyword research. They don't know anything about web design, and they try to do this. And then they end up getting stuck because they're really at the mercy of everybody else. Everybody's charging them for this, charging them for that, and they don't know what's working and what's not, and it's a huge just cluster F, and it's a nightmare. So what you need to do is you need to have a basic understanding of everything. I do know internet marketing. I do know buying traffic. I don't know web design, but I know what works on sales pages. So I know all this stuff, and as a result, I don't overpay for anything, and I know how to test, and I know how to tweak, and I understand it, so I can explain this to people, exactly what I need, and it gets implemented.
And that F, that cluster F for fail, right? Because if you do all that stuff yourself and you don't have a team, by the way, Daven, we know what the acronym of team is, right? Together, everybody achieves more, and that's what Daven is trying to hit home here. You're the visionary, you're the orchestrator, the conductor. You're getting everybody to do everything for you, and when you get that one little strategy you share with you, that's when you are a successful business owner. Until you remove yourself from the business owns you. And that's truly very, very valuable. Well, I've got one more question before we end this show, Daven. And this is the question. So let me ask you this. What is working now in your business? What is your best strategy to get customers right now in your business? And what's not working that worked a year ago?
Sure. Okay, so what's working right now is joint ventures is always working with us.
And joint venture stands for what?
Joint ventures is where we reach out to other marketing partners with big lists, and they'll do like a blast for us, or they'll do a webinar for us, and we'll do the same for them. That works. Email campaigns are working, but it does take a lot of work, but it does work. Speaking from stage is working. Webinars are working. Buying traffic works for us. And those are, some of the biggest things that we really do. And what's not working is, I have to say, we are getting less traffic this year from joint ventures, less traffic from webinars. But I have to say that kind of has to do with what we've been doing. Is a little less than a year ago, I felt like we weren't totally monetizing our list. And so we have a big list, over 100,000 people on our list that follow 123. And for the most part, we were just marketing 123 services. services. And I was like, well, gosh, there's a lot of extra revenue that could be picked up on a weekly basis by offering other people's offers to our list that would be complementary to what they're already doing, which, all of our people are business owners and they're looking to make more money online. And so we started doing weekly promotions to them. And I think we might have burned them out a little bit. So we're actually we're gonna try to pull back and maybe go do like once or twice a month. And I think then the numbers will start coming back up.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy you talked about. If you oversell to your people, you will burn them out. So you want to make sure you build massive value for your people, and then when you have an opportunity, then they're willing to take it because they have the trust, love, and respect for you and your organization. So I think that was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So let me ask you this last question before we end the Be Legendary Show live with Dave Van Hoos and Daven Michaels. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen happen in your business or on stage, something that you can share with us?
The funniest thing. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure. I could tell you one thing that wasn't so funny. One time I traveled 22 hours from the Philippines to speak on a stage in Washington with 450 people, and there were 12 people in the room. But besides that, here's I don't know if this is the funniest thing, but the other day I was speaking in London. And I was saying, I was trying to make a point. I was saying, listen, how do we figure out what our time is worth? And the formula for that is we take the amount of, we take the amount of money that we make, we divide it by the amount of hours that we work, and that's how we figure out our time value. But I was trying to convey that, that is true, but it's a seriously flawed equation, because let's say business is great, Dave. Could you, and let's say your time is now worth $1,000 an hour, can you then go out and buy more time? And the answer is no. And then I said, well, can Bill Gates buy more time? And they said, no. I said, can Warren Buffett buy more time? They said, no. I said, can Martha Stewart buy more time? And then somebody was like, well, she kind of did. And I was like, oh my gosh, she did. She ended up buying herself some time in the pokey. So that was kind of funny. And that's my most recent recollection. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I've always had, I wear contacts, and I wear hard contacts. And so without them, I'm blind. And so I always had this fear, what if I was speaking on stage and my contact fell out, or my contact would be up on stage like a blind man, and I wouldn't know how to get off the stage or what to do. I'll never forget, Gavin, after speaking for 8 years, last year it happened. I was speaking at this conference, and I'm doing it. I'm getting so excited, and I bring my hands up, and I kind of nicked my eye, and I blinked at the same time, and my contact shot out. And I'll never forget, as I did it, was like slow motion. It was like, and I felt it going, choo, choo, choo. And I'm thinking to myself, do I dive to the floor and grab my contact, or do I keep doing the presentation?
You kept going, didn't you?
I did. I kept going.
Yeah.
That's a true speaker warrior, right? I came through, and I did it. One eye, I couldn't see nothing, so it was like I was in and out like a magnifying glass. It was like a drunken sailor. And I told everybody to get up and run to the back to buy my product. They all ran back. And
you dropped to the floor.
I dropped to the floor and found it.
That's awesome. That's a great story. That's a great story. Hey, Dave, remind me, too, to tell you when I see you. This is really important. I was just hanging out in Geneva a few weeks ago with my good buddy Sammy, and I have a solution for you so you don't have to wear those hard lenses anymore.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
It's really cool. Yeah, remind me to tell you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you. I can't wait to come out to California and spend some time at your event. If you have the opportunity to come to any of Daven's events, because you might be watching it now or it's recorded, absolutely go to his website. If you're struggled and stressed out and working harder, not smarter, or just really want to leverage yourself and get your life back in freedom, Daven, where do they go to reach you to help them?
Sure. Well, if you want to get all the freebies that we just talked about, simply go to 123employee.com/S as in special, and you'll get all the stuff I talked about. And if you'd like to come as my guest to Outsource Live, meet Dave in person, hang out with me as well, simply go to outsourcelivenow.com. That's outsourcelivenow.com. And when you finally get to the reg page, if you use the promo code Dave, we have free tickets for you and your guests. Just make sure you come. Look forward to meeting you. And that's this weekend in L.A. at the Westin LAX Outsource Live.
Thanks, Daven. And I had so much fun just hanging out and just really diving down the real life principles. So I'm going to thank you very much for being on the show, and I want to thank everybody for listening to the Be Legendary show, the live radio show that we meet every week to work with and break all the principles, tools, and strategies with people like Daven Michaels. And I want to thank Daven for being here, and I want to thank everybody for being on. And you know, we're going to be at next week, same time, same place, and we'll see you on the Be Legendary live event.
Bye, everybody.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.